What's happening, Brighton? The short answer is a lot. The long answer is this podcast. What's Up Brighton is a show dedicated to the community we all love.
Hosted by Roger Burnett, Eric Meldrum, and Coach Mark Howell, this podcast will feature news, issues, and discussions impacting Livingston County and celebrate the people who make our slice of Michigan go and grow. This is What's Up Brighton. So, I was thinking about hosting a potluck, but only letting people bring vegetables. Does that sound like something you guys will want to come to?
No.
Can I bring alcohol?
Thank you.
Yeah, never mind. What's up, Brighton? I'm Roger. That's Eric over there on the phone. Here's Coach Mark. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the What's Up Brighton podcast.
Let's go.
We got a fun topic today, don't we?
We do.
But before we get to that one, we'll hit our one word. We'll look at the headlines, see if there's anything worth talking about from the Facebook page. I'm sure we'll come up with something. And then we'll get into living in Brighton, trying to buy a house in Brighton. Where would you buy a house in Brighton? All of that and more, ladies and gentlemen, will be in today's episode. But before we get to that, last time Coach Mark went first. Eric, what's your one word this time around?
My one word is I'm gonna say real estate.
Are you?
Weird. This is not a motivational.
Those are 2 words, by the way.
I know.
Not if you bundle them.
Whoa.
Realtor.
Realtor.
No, but I'm gonna say real estate because like this time of year is absolutely bonkers. Right. This is where our business really starts taking off. For the year, this is where people start making some decisions about, moving. The winter's over. They're starting to make some moves, and things are starting to get crazy. So, real estate is also one of these topics over the past couple of years that has been a real sore subject for a lot of people, right? It's been a very depressing topic of conversation of like, I want to buy a house. I don't know how to do it. Interest rates are too high. Prices are going to come down, and it's just all over the place, right? So, we're going to get more into that, but if you are in the real estate market, don't be discouraged. We got some good information for you today.
Yes, sir. There it
Excited
is.
for that. One word, sir.
All right, I don't have a one word. I have a phrase.
Ooh.
The art of no.
The
art
of no.
The art of no. So we're kind of entering the same, like the season where, it's going to be grad parties and gatherings and birthday parties and reunions and blah, 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 right? And it just stacks upon stacks, right? And you start to have FOMO. Oh, I didn't make that, and I didn't make that. And it's such a freeing thing to just say no, right?
Yes, it
just
is.
keep your schedule light. Do the things that matter most with the people that matter most. Keep that perspective as we enter spring and summer and the busy months of the extracurriculars, right? And just find that art. Find the art of saying no. It's such a freeing word when you can embrace it. The art of saying no.
The art
of no. The art of no.
Coach Mark is bleeding into even one word at this point. Like it's just amazing to me, right? Like where he's kind of come from. For me, this is community. This is all. This whole episode 6 of What's Up Brighton, really is totally about community.
Yes.
Because we are a very desirable community, and lots of people are very frustrated by their inability to join the community. So we want to have a real good chance to talk about that. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, in keeping
you can pay me on the side to join our community. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't message me. Message Mark.
My love can be bought.
In another one of those classic examples of us watching the potential car crash that is when a topic gets introduced in the group, knowing full well that when you approve it, it's like, oh boy. And my favorite one is, I'm moving here from somewhere not here. Tell me about the school systems. That's my favorite post of all.
It's like, no, don't tell anybody about Brighton. It's a secret,
right?
Don't move.
Keep the secret.
Keep the secret.
Well, or then you've got the conspiracy theorist out there about, like, have you been paying attention to the Brighton School Board? And it's like, okay, here we go, right? And
you could drop a pin on the map and say that about every single school board.
I'll say, you
ever.
know what though? I hear a lot of worse things. Like school boards are tough, right? I mean, I think we have it pretty good overall. It could be way worse.
And see, Mr.
Be
Positive
way worse
over here. Mr.
It could be
Positive.
way worse.
Well,
we have a neighboring city that's way worse, and
Okay.
I don't even need a name to drop.
Okay.
I don't need to drop the name. I don't know. We all know.
What this community has proven time and time again is if the leadership is not getting things done, they will be out.
Yes.
Period. Dot. End
See
of
ya.
sentence.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Unceremoniously in some instances, as referenced by historical instances of mismanagement by other boards and
Yes.
the consequences that were exacted as a result. Fair?
Very fair.
Fair. So most of the schools are good. Which one you want to go to really is going to be up to your own circumstances, your own family. And then when the Catholic Central crew comes rolling into that discussion
No.
to try to steal people away
No.
from the right
Don't get me
community.
started.
Well,
Don't get me started.
I got to recuse myself.
I
from
know
this
you do.
discussion, So,
We'll fight in the parking lot after.
yeah. So unfortunately, I'm not really.
You don't like the public schools? Send them to Catholic school.
I don't have a.
Just ship them out.
I don't have a leg to stand on here, but so yeah, but I mean, and so begins the discussion that starts with what's it like in the real estate market in Livingston County and Brighton specifically. We have somewhat of
only
an
we-
expert on the topic.
Yeah, if only we had someone that could give us some
Mark,
insight.
you got yours?
I could, but I think I'll pass this
Yeah.
one to Eric.
Yeah, me too.
I'll let him take it.
1, 2, 3, not it.
Not
1, 2, 3, not
definitely
it.
not it. Yeah, nose goes.
Yeah. So I mean, school system. So I mean, here's the reality. All jokes aside, like we do have some really great schools.
Yes.
Here in the Brighton area.
The
You know,
best,
that's-
man. I'm biased, but the best.
Yeah. And those are some of the main reasons that people do move to the community. It's no secret that public schools are in a scrutiny type situation, across the board. And people are looking for that good, solid foundation of values and things that they can just, know that, hey, they're not going to get, lambasted with all this craziness that goes on in some of the other school systems that people are trying to move out from. Like we get a lot of relocation, into Livingston County, Brighton specifically, for the schools. And some of that's happening here locally, people moving from Metro Detroit, places like Livonia, Westland, Novi even, like they're moving over like, nope, we're moving west and Brighton is that place we want to go.
Awesome.
So school systems are a big draw, into the community here. And that's really what it starts with is families. And I always say this for a lot of our relocation clients who are moving in, we're talking to them pretty much every single day of like, hey, listen, the real estate market is one thing, right? We can find the house. Okay. The house is not what we're going to talk about, right now. This is all about lifestyle. Okay. The lifestyle that you're going for is our main focus. And it's really weird for me to
Interesting.
say this, to clients, and I'm super comfortable with it now. But when we first started it, it was like, hey, we sell real estate though. Like what's going on? I'm like, and my partner's like, no, like we're selling lifestyle.
Sure.
You don't get it. I'm like, yes, I do get it, but we also sell real estate. But now fast forward, and we've been doing this for 4 years now, and it is all about the lifestyle. The houses will take care of themselves. The lifestyle here in Livingston County is what people are really concerned about, right? The community aspect of it, right? The proximity to parks, proximity to just the shopping, right? The lakes that we have here, all of the things that we all love Livingston County for.
Yes.
Is why people are moving here, right? I can't change the houses,
Right.
I'm
Or
not
the values thereof.
I'm not a
right?
builder. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a builder either. I'm not building the houses.
I mean, I could build a house, but you wouldn't want to live in it. I
Sale on houses. Howell Property Group.
the Burnett property. You got any rent? Anyways, so it's a really interesting conversation as we talk about like the lifestyle here in Livingston County because it is such a draw, right? And a lot more people are seeing what is going on, in Livingston County. I even have a client who's he's going to be retiring from the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, and he He's worked there 20 some years, and he has targeted Livingston County as the place that he wants to live. Mainly because he wants acreage. He wants, a home that is, kind of secluded, a nice tree line, right? And there's not too many places around that you can find that. Yeah, sure, you can find it in Dexter, Chelsea, those type of areas, but you got to go west. You can't go east,
right?
With that. And, when I started telling him about Chelsea and Dexter, he's like, I'm just done with Washtenaw County.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just literally done with Washtenaw County. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm like, hey, fair. Like I no argument here. I don't really care either way. But that's your preference, right? So he's like, I want to live in Livingston County. That's politically, that's where I want to go.
For sure. We have the good fortune to be able to review each of the questions and their answers when people apply to join the group. And there has been an explosion of responses to what's your favorite part about Brighton. And the answer is becoming frequently, I'm moving there from Texas. I'm moving there from not another community local to Michigan. And they've come here, they've evaluated all the different places they might potentially move. And we're getting a lot of, hey, Brighton's where it's at.
Well, I think
it's where we want to live.
it's because they found my YouTube channel.
Probably.
Sorry.
That's
Brighton,
what we were leaning to.
Cat's out of the bag. Showcasing the best of Livingston County over here.
Okay, but on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, we have some very sizable developments going on in the community right now, and not everybody's in love with those developments. So let's talk a little bit about the new stuff that's going on and how it's meant to try to serve this growing need that you definitely are witnessing. And many of us are hearing from people that we know that we're related to or friends with who are like, how could I move there?
Yep.
What's my angle?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one, we have some new apartments going on in the Mill Pond.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's upset about that at all. Not even a little bit.
Well, I think the topic goes into two different categories, and we look at development in and around the city.
Yep.
Right. Proximity to downtown becomes a hypersensitive topic of conversation.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you have old Brighton 30 some years ago, that nobody wants to see that change. And then you have people that might have moved here in the last 10 years and they're like, well, it's even grown, significantly since then. It's getting a little bit busy, a little bit crazy. And then you got the people who moved here in the past 5 years who came from Metro Detroit and they're like, what are you talking about? Traffic's nothing. like this is par for the course. And I get all the sides from it. Right. And I think you guys all do too. I mean, Mark, you've been here for, pretty much your whole, you grew
42
up here,
years.
Yeah, 42 years. You grew up here. So you've seen the changes. I remember coming to Brighton, when I was about, 10, 11 years old, and we were going to Long Lake and Heartland, and going to Brighton was you needed to go to Brighton to actually go to a good restaurant, right? Because there was nothing in Heartland.
Right.
Very true. It was the Heartland Pizza Company, which, by the way, had some amazing breadsticks. We used to be able to ride our bikes to the Heartland Pizza Company. If anybody remembers that, shout out to Heartland Pizza Company. $1.50 for a basket of warm breadsticks with pizza sauce.
Very nice.
Breadstick Royale,
round
2.
Royale.
Maybe round 2.
That might be the warm up.
Exactly.
The warm up for Pizza Royale.
Okay.
Breadstick
Royale. I like it.
That was
it's
good.
going to be an epic event.
I'll say Gus is going to have something to say about that, but we'll get back to that, I think.
I'll throw the Big Block Brewing Company breadsticks into that.
All right.
Oh man. All right.
Here we go.
Yeah. Stoking the fire.
But hyper focused on the downtown area is where I think a lot of the controversy comes because, nobody wants to see the downtown change. And the reality is it's beyond the point of progress, right?
Sure.
There's progression happening, right? And there's been a lot of resistance. Now this goes, into a bunch of other stuff, we're not going to talk about on today's episode, but the apartments, they're serving a purpose. Is it an eyesore on the Mill Pond? I don't know. I haven't seen the completed product yet. Right now it's really not much to look at. But I think the same thing could be said about those the condos, right? The 3-story townhomes that were on Mill Pond, right? That everyone was upheaval about. Those blend in perfectly.
Right.
Like I don't even
Right.
like who notices those anymore.
Right.
So you can argue for both sides and both sides are right.
Sure.
Right. And then you can also argue both sides are wrong. Like
Right.
doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, the city is growing.
Growing
You know,
with a capital ing.
Yes.
Now, to me, what I look at more so than anything is we all love hanging out in our community. And this is going to make it way tougher
Yes.
to hang out in our community because I don't see any more restaurants. I don't see any more ways to serve this huge influx of people when we already have an hour wait on Friday night for dinner.
well, I think that's also going to change.
Okay, well,
Oh,
this is the
ooh,
big
over
bet,
time.
right?
Okay.
This is
Right.
the big bet.
And I'm not saying that the weight's going to change. I think that the expansion of downtown and the options around the downtown area are going to change. Right?
Gonna have to.
It's
So
gonna
this
have
really
to.
gets back to the need for more Mexican restaurants is what we're really boiling down
and
to.
car
And car washes, right?
right? I shout out to Todd Buckley because the guy's got a good sense of humor.
Dude, he had me sold. I thought that was for real one going there.
If anybody, so
We got to put the picture up.
yeah,
Yes.
we got to put
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Todd put a photo in or a sign in the vacant space next to his office, and it said La Broma. Mexican Fiesta plus mortgage.
So great. So
Please look up La Broma in Spanish to English translation. Will help you understand just how that was part of the joke.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Well, I did not look it up, and I just read it, and it was like took it at face value, like any dumb person would. And I was like, "Oh my God, is he serious? There's
Another
another
one?
Mexican restaurant." I just didn't take to the group to them be like, "Did everybody see this?"
Yeah, that was funny. Good job, Todd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome. Mission
But
accomplished.
nonetheless,
Yeah.
the community will have to evolve. Capitalism, money always flows to problems. One would expect. The real question is, where would they go? Where would,
right?
if we were going to put some more restaurants in? Because downtown just changed over a bunch of its addresses to new titles. So I don't think those are going away anytime soon. So where are we putting them?
Yeah, I think Grand River is going to evolve.
I think you're right.
I think we're going to see. I'm not a city planner or anything, right? So like I'm just looking logically at like where would things go, and there's a lot right behind there's a on North Street, right, which is kind of like on right where the Youthology is now.
Mhm.
Yes.
They just moved across. It was the old Union Home Mortgage location. Now across the street from that, where George Moss has his building,
Yep,
the
Marketeer.
Marketeer, right behind that, there's vacant lots.
Ah.
So that's ripe for the type
Development.
of development of like a 2 to 3 story type building, similar to what they're doing with the Fifth Third building.
Right.
That's coming into the Chalmichi's parking lot.
Yep.
That's going to be a mixed use development. Right. It's going to be retail on the bottom. They're going to have a restaurant on the second level, and then they're
Awesome.
going to put office space
That sounds awesome.
on the third level.
Cool.
Right. Which
I'm
is,
in.
Right?
I'm in.
Like, let's be honest. Like that's how a downtown. Like
Yeah.
if you go to Northville, you go to Plymouth.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Right.
Right. I frequent
Even Ann Arbor, right? To
Ann
some-
Arbor. Yeah,
yeah.
I frequent all those downtowns all the time. Like those 3-story buildings. That's how they're developed.
Sure.
Right. With that type of mindset, right? There's office up, retail on the bottom, office space up top,
Yeah.
or condos or living like
Sure.
apartments. In Brighton, how many 3-story buildings do we have?
The ones by the railroad track, which was the last time somebody tried to do what you just described.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much it, except for the new apartment building going in.
Are you talking about the condos?
Mhm.
Okay, so those are
Those are older.
those are older.
They've been around for a while, but that was it. They didn't keep doing them.
And those retail shops are like 700 square feet,
Right.
800
Okay.
square feet. Like I wouldn't even consider that a retail
Admittedly,
shop.
I've never been in any
all-
of them.
Pretty much all of them are
businesses.
filled with office
service
space.
businesses of
Yeah.
some sort. Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. It's going to be really interesting, but let's not lose sight of the fact that it's a vibrant, growing
Yes.
community of people that it's not going to look the way it looks today very, very much longer.
Mhm.
And whether you like that or not, it's just the reality of the situation. And count on us here at What's Up Brighton to continue to try to bring you segments specific to the growth of the community as we experience some growing pains. I mean, we did the same thing with the streetscape.
Oh.
Wasn't great, but here we are. And we gave ourselves an opportunity to complain about it, and then we moved on. We'll do the same thing.
You know, the funny thing about this topic is, Brighton is like the city limit is actually pretty small in
Very
comparison, to all this stuff. So like majority of the people that are here in the group and like, in the community, they don't even live in Brighton. Right. So like when all this
I don't
stuff,
live in Brighton.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
part of
either.
the
live in
group.
Brighton.
And I'm a passionate Brightonian for life.
Right. And like
Ride or die.
it's just
Absolutely.
it's just so ironic of the topic of conversation because the people that voices can be heard at city council are the people that live in the city of Brighton,
Right.
which is actually like
That's a good
around
point.
10,000 people.
Good point. Yep.
Right. So it's a very small city limit. And then you get into Brighton Township, Genoa Township, Hamburg Township, Green Oak Township.
Still mine, bro. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
and out of
You
those
can say I don't
10,000
live there,
people,
but
and you're right. Like everybody, including myself,
We
and
feel
I
like
think
it's ours.
Yeah.
We feel that way,
Yep.
right? Even though we're paying township taxes,
sure.
like, and this might be a new reality. It's like, hey, if Brighton is going to take on this new, new identity, like they also need tax dollars,
Right.
right?
Right.
To keep up with the
Yep.
things like the
Good
10,000 residents
Good
that
point.
are doing there. Like you have, I don't know, 60, 70,000 people that are like chip, 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 like voicing away at Brighton. But at the same token, like, hey, we are only answering to 10,000 people. Like,
What do you want us to do?
but everybody else is using the civil
Yep.
services, like the downtown.
right.
So like, it's this double-edged sword, right?
Total
And
double-edged sword.
double-edged sword that
Brighton's going to go on an annexation crusade. Genoa, look out. Green Oak, baby, look out. They're coming for you. Oh, now we're going to get it going.
could be. I mean,
Hamburg, look out, baby.
Listen, I don't want my taxes to be raised. Like, I'm not bringing this topic up to make it happen, but like, people need to be aware
Sure.
of that. It's just the reality.
Yeah. Well, in and out of those 10,000 voices, I mean, how many people really take that time or step forward to really let their voice be heard, right? It's typically just the complainers. I mean, let's just be honest.
29,000 people on the Brighton, Michigan happenings page every month have something to say. So maybe we can corral some of the voices going forward and be a conduit, if you will, to the things that we can distill down from the discourse that we see on our page and add our collective voice to whatever's going on from a discussion perspective.
I think that helps. I mean, just helps bring a different context to it, and I talked to the mayor, and when the streetscape was going on, we did a little segment down there. We shared in the group. It didn't reach very far because people were like, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear we don't want to hear the truth. So and it's just different perspective on it. It's like
Sure.
What was the timing? There was all this hearsay of like the timing of the streetscape, and I was talked to the mayor, and he's like, hey, we actually had some dollars, some grant dollars that were going to expire. If we didn't use them, we wouldn't have got them.
Yeah.
So we capitalized on it, right? We got the funding for it.
Right.
Timing sucked.
Yep.
Nothing we could do about it, but that's where we were planning it anyways. COVID was not planned, so
Sure.
what do you want me to do? We're going to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Oxford Center, where healing begins with a blend of compassion and innovation. The Oxford Center offers a ton of different treatments, ranging from hyperbaric oxygen therapy, autism services, physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy, and more. They've pioneered research behind a wide variety of treatments and conditions. They're located in the heart of our community, right here in Brighton. They believe in treating the whole person, not just the symptoms. Discover how they can support your journey in wellness. Visit theoxfordcenter.com or call 248-486-3636.
This one there's no way on earth that the real estate segment doesn't continue to be a periodic discussion here.
Absolutely.
At this conversation.
Absolutely.
But we'll pull away from addresses and mailboxes and worries about long lines at restaurants and give the coach a chance to throw a little heaping helping of positivity on this conversation. Coach, what you got today?
Well, I don't know how well this fits or doesn't fit today, but today's message is all around leadership. Leadership today. So it can fit in a roundabout way.
Sure.
We can always apply it. But the quote is, leaders aren't born, they are made, by Vince Lombardi. It's a very common quote. People use it all the time. But I think I wanted to really focus the conversation around, really targeting the young professionals, the young leaders, the people who are aspiring to become leaders, and maybe those that are wondering, like, why am I not leaders? And I think of all the way from, high school kids who are like, oh, I want to be a captain or whatever. And then all the way through, a middle-aged businessman who's like, oh, I want to be a manager. I want to lead a team or what have you. And my first question is, the best, or really I want to pose to that person is, have you become a good follower first? Right? I think that all the best leaders are made, not born, in that the best leaders learn how to follow before they ever lead. They follow the right leaders. They learn from good leaders. They learn from bad leaders, and they adopt. They adopt the different capacities that the good leaders have. They adapt their way of leading around maybe what they've learned from bad leaders, and then they formulate it into their own authentic way of leading those groups of people. And I think that if you're watching this, if you're listening in, you're an aspiring leader of anything, or maybe you're a current leader, my question is, like, were you a good follower first, or who inspired you when you were watching them lead, right? Who are maybe your, who's on that monument for you that you look to them for leadership, and you're like, wow, like that's my group, that's my core. Those are my core people who I follow, and I would follow them, through any obstacle, through anything. And I think it's, any good leader just inspires their followers to follow them. And it's not necessarily the most educated. It's not necessarily the person who knows the most, but it's someone who they've earned your respect, they've earned your trust, and you're willing to go through anything, through, you can wage war next to them, and you would be willing to die for that person, figuratively, because they've inspired you in some way, and they've reached your soul, and you just trust them. You want to be by their side. And so really that's just my message today is, don't rush the process of becoming a good leader. Trust the process, and be willing to learn, and be a good follower first of that leader that you aspire to be. That's today's message. There you go.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
The whole time I was channeling Motor City Dan Campbell, listening to Mark over here. Right? It's just like, we've all been around organizations that the culture was wrong.
Yes.
So that when the culture is right, it is like, oh yeah, no, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it, right? And putting yourself in a position to be the kind of person that someone could go, no, here we go. Oftentimes is like, well, I grew up in a place that gave me a chance to now want to represent what I was taught going forward to the next group of people I can touch, right?
Absolutely.
And when you're honest about that, and that's really your objective, which is much what you do in your coaching, people will say, well, I don't know if we'll win everything, but I know that guy gives me a chance.
Yep.
And that's all you really want, is to know that you're with people that are going to give you that shot. And when you don't have that shot, man, you can tell the difference. You can feel the difference.
Yeah.
Every single time. So good stuff, man. Just like always, right?
Thank you.
This guy.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you always get, I kind of envy you because you get the inspired right by Coach Mark, and then we roll right to the last word.
I thought that's how you set it up.
Well,
We'll give Roger the props for that, because he produces the show. So that's his doing. He's the mastermind behind it,
right?
So trust the process is, I think, something that So the show, The Prophet. You guys ever watch that?
Oh, love that.
Okay.
Love that show.
Right, and
thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus, and it's people, product, process. right? And you have to trust the process. Right? And that's something I've really been really focusing on, is like, it's the same work over and over again, but something Mark said reminded me, following a leader and having good leadership in your life is super important. And, the stuff that we see on social media today, more and more people, certainly, in the adolescence and, young 20s, 30s, there's so many influencers. There's so many type of influencers who claim to be leaders, right? Whether they self-proclaim that or people just look up to them, right? That's the insinuation of an influencer, right? Somebody is following you. So it's not so much that companies nowadays, right? There's leaders within companies, but there's individuals, that have influence and leadership over people. And it's super scary.
Yes.
Right. And we're going through this with our girls, right now. And social media is now being entered. And mind you, like, my oldest is in second grade.
Yep.
Right. And it is now like, we don't let her have, any social media time. Right. The only phone time, like screen time that she has is on Snapchat, to make the funny faces,
Yep.
Where they can do the filters and like do the
Sure.
the whale face and like all that stuff, but occasionally, the YouTube will get brought up of like, hey, we want to watch this show. And like, we had to shut YouTube down, a while ago, just because of that. But tying this back, into the community, and especially what we talked about today, with the real estate market, like the leadership here in the community, right? Like everybody's always so hypercritical about it, and it takes a certain person to step into that role, right? And like, they're not always going to have the answers for everything. They're not always going to have like the direction going forward, because at the end of the day, like, they're just people just like us.
Yes. Human beings.
Yes.
Right? They're human beings with families, shit going on in their life, and like, I think what we forget is that the empathy and grace, right? Just for people in general, because
100%.
there's so much going on,
Yes.
in today's day and age. So I wanted to bring that full circle, because I've been thinking about that personally, of like, I was guilty of it early in my careers, of like being hypercritical about leadership in companies. Like, oh, if I was running this company, I would do this. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, some 20-year-old wants to tell me how to run my company.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? Like, you have a lot of lessons, to learn about business, about life, about relationships, just about leadership in general, and being a team player, so, that's kind of my last word for today is, we have a lot of influence, and, I understand that, even, this platform, that we're on, we have influence, and I just want everyone to know, like, we don't take that lightly
At all.
We're constantly learning. We're constantly, looking at things from a different angle. The amount of messages and, negativity, that I personally get, that I don't even share with these gentlemen here, because it really doesn't matter. Because, I look at that as like, these people just have nothing else better to do than to reach out and be negative. So I'm not going to let that, change my life or affect them in any way. But everybody's the same person, at the end of the day, and having a little bit of empathy and grace and understanding situations can go a long way, especially in our community.
Yes. Boom.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're 38,000, maybe 600 strong as a team now. And when you have a team that large, some people are snarky, some people are nice, some people are sarcastic, some people are just total jerks.
Yes.
And if we know you, we know that that's who you are, and that's not that big of a deal. But if we don't know you, then you just seem like a bully and a troll. And we're here for the positivity. We try to bring it every single episode. I don't know what else to say. That's it. That's all. That's everything. If you liked what you had to hear today, please share it with people who might want to know more about it. If you haven't subscribed yet, the more subscriptions we get, the better things we can do with the show.
Booyah.
And if you have ideas for show topics, don't be shy. Negative or positive, we'll take them.
Right?
Bring them on.
Bring it, baby.
Till next time, we're signing out from episode 6, guys. Thanks once
Thank
again.
you. Boom.
See you later.